Hi, thanks for tuning in. You're listening to Between Bells, Camden Catholic's podcast that explores the people that make up our school community and what they're truly like between one day's dismissal bell and the next day's homeroom bell. I'm your host, Trish, and welcome to this week's episode. This week, Mr. Bruckner is joining us on the podcast. At Camden Catholic, Mr. Bruckner teaches AP Seminar, Communications, Film Studies, and Digital Film Production. He is the General Arts Department Chair, and he's also a moderator for CCTV and co-moderates the St. Martin de Porres Society. It's an honor to have the chair of the General Arts Department here with us this week. But what may he be like otherwise? What is he like when he's not sitting in such a chair? What is he like between bells? Okay. So we have Mr. Bruckner here on the podcast. Hello, Mr. Bruckner.
Hi, Trish.
It's great to have you on the podcast.
It's great to be on the podcast.
It's kind of surreal because, I said this right before we started recording. It felt just like yesterday that we were in this exact same position. We were in your room. I think it was like near these desks as well, and we were testing out this equipment for the very first time.
It feels like it was yesterday.
It does. All right. So, of course, like any other guest, would you please give us your full name, first and last, your classroom location, and how many years you've been here at CCHS?
My name is Jeff Bruckner. I teach in room 216 as well as the Mac Lab, and this is my 16th year at Camden Catholic.
And for your week's wild card, I'm going to ask you, what is a place you really want to visit?
Oh my gosh, what a question. That's so loaded because I'm an avid traveler.
You are?
Yeah, if anyone knows me well, they know that my wife and I are always going somewhere. And the irony with that is that I actually have like flight anxiety. Like I hate to fly. Yeah, it's like bad. And so the place I would really love to travel to is Australia.
I haven't been there either, yeah.
Yeah, and so, but you've traveled a lot, right?
I do travel a lot, yeah.
So, like, I would love to go to Australia because that's where one of my best friends and former college roommate moved to.
Wow.
And unfortunately, due to the flying anxiety, I would say unless I'm flying first class or flying with like a doctor who can keep me like highly medicated, I'm probably not going to get to Australia.
Yeah, it's far. Well, you could always try doing pit stops and then the flights are shorter.
That's what we did when my wife and I went to Hawaii. We did a pit stop in California, took like 3 days there, and then went from California to Hawaii. And that worked out really well for me.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a version of a pit stop somewhere in the Pacific Ocean.
Short between bells break. Did you know in Australia there's a time zone that's dictated not by the conventional 1 hour that we're used to seeing, but by only 30 minutes? According to ABC.net, in its colonial days, South Australia was on a central time zone, an hour behind the East, until 1899. Under pressure from the Chamber of Commerce to adopt Eastern Standard Time, the government of the day came up with a compromise that put clocks 30 minutes behind those on Australia's eastern seaboard. So maybe, if you end up having a friend that moves to Australia like Mr. Bruckner's friend did, you might want to keep that in mind. Now back to the show. All right, so let's get into more about you besides, that. Let's start with you are the, how'd you word it? You're the General Arts Director Chair. Is that the correct title?
Yeah, General Arts Chairperson. Yeah, yeah.
So obviously that means you're very involved in the arts, and it really shows. You're involved in CCTV. You're also doing the digital media internship. You're the head of that. You also help with the film production classes, and you also sometimes help with school marketing, I've seen. And you even helped record those pre-recorded bits in the musical that we just had for Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
I was just wondering when you decided that you were going to pursue arts, going forward in your life. Because, you're teaching in a high school, and a lot of high schoolers are figuring out what they're trying to do. And so I feel for a lot of us, you kind of hit a crossroads where you go do, more so for students who are creatively inclined. It's like, do I want to go towards creative arts, or do I want to try to go something that's more seen as conventionally practical or whatever?
Yeah, because for whatever reason, the quote unquote arts is not very conventionally practical, as you put it, right? So, a lot of people want stability in their life and want steady income. And health insurance.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, like for artists, whether that's a working musician or a filmmaker or someone involved in the fine arts, those are like kind of, hit or miss opportunities. So it's just a very different lifestyle. I would say in high school, when I got involved with CCTV and behind the stage, behind the stage, on the side of the stage, behind the scenes, it's stage crew, where I was just kind of like honing some skills that I never really knew I had. And it was cultivated by our moderator and teacher at the time, Mr. McDonald, and who I, still stay in touch with. And just kind of like learning through those experiences. And I just remember like in free periods, like going into Mr. McDonald's office, and a bunch of the CCTV guys would go in there, and we would just like, he would always have like trade magazines out, like the Hollywood Reporter or Variety magazine, or even things like Entertainment Weekly, and just like reading about the entertainment industry, but not from like a tabloid or pop culture sense. It was just kind of like, how does this industry work? It just seems like so baffling to me, like how like movies get made or TV shows get made.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like where it started.
Okay. And you mentioned, of course, CCTV. Now you take over CCTV. I see you every morning.
Yeah.
I jokingly call Mr. Bruckner my boss because it's just every morning. We're always there.
But you know what? I gotta... do I act like a boss?
You don't. I just say it because it's funny.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't.
Good.
No, you definitely don't feel like a boss.
Okay,
it's just a fun little thing we say.
Make sure.
But also, talking about that, another little title we have for you around CCTV is Mr. Hollywood, because you're involved a lot with, what is it, film? You do the digital production one, right?
Yeah.
I always forget like the official names of the classes.
Yeah, it's called digital film production.
And then you do the other one where you
film studies.
Film studies, yes. Yeah. So I was wondering, we're gonna jump right into this segment because it's a perfect time to do it.
Great.
So it's called Mr. Hollywood's Top Picks. I'm gonna ask you, which movie would you be watching in these given scenarios?
Oh my gosh, I love this. Okay.
We have number one. What movie would you watch for a movie night with friends?
A movie night with friends. Oh my gosh. So I'll say Back to the Future, because
your poster is
right
behind you.
It's right behind us. Yeah. So very on brand for me. I'll say that because I think it was my 39th birthday. It was during COVID, but it was when like AMC movie theaters would like let you like rent out their theater for like next to no money because like they had like no one going to see the movies. And so I got like, all my friends who tested negative, like in a room at like an AMC, and like for my birthday, we all watched Back to the Future together.
That's epic.
Yeah,
you had
fun.
The popcorn and everything.
Yeah,
it was just you guys
in there. It was just
there.
us. Yeah, it was hilarious.
Where'd you guys sit? Like front row, just
I moved around.
Yeah, that's true. You had the freedom to move around.
And then we had we brought in like a bunch of snacks, so like we would like get up midway. It was just fun. It just felt like you were in someone's living room.
Yeah, that's so cool. Theater, All right, so number two, this is a bit of an interesting one. What movie would you be watching if you got stuck at the airport?
I love this question. Okay, so one of like when I say like I have like travel anxiety, I've like, it's like serious. Like I've had to, seek like medical attention for it. Which, by the way, go seek counseling if you got some like issues you're working through. I want to encourage that. So one of the things that I've realized over time is that I respond very well when flying to watching comedies. And so this would have to be a comedy. And I would say my favorite comedy is Forgetting Sarah Marshall. It's not like, it's a rated R comedy. So first off, to our teen audience, this is not suitable to be watching.
Can you give like a little PG synopsis maybe then?
Yeah. So it's a Hollywood, what does he do? He like scores music for like a Hollywood TV show.
Oh, like a conductor? Or
yeah,
a composer?
Composer, yeah. Who's dating an A-list actress.
Okay.
They have a breakup. And in order to clear his mind, he goes to Hawaii and stays at a resort. And it just so happens that his A-list like ex is staying there with her. Oh my
gosh.
And so hilarity ensues, and it's very funny. Yeah.
That sounds like a very good
Yeah.
movie to watch, especially in like a drab airport.
Yes, exactly. It's very bright and very funny.
So do you like watch, have you been on, what do you call it, airplanes where you can watch it on the little screens on the back? Or you want to watch those on there too?
Yeah, phone or screen, whatever's easiest.
I miss because usually when I was younger, I used to not watch movies because, I don't know what it is. I love consuming media, but when I was younger, I was much more like, I have to be interacting with something.
Okay.
So, I recently went on a trip, and they don't really have this anymore, but I guess back in the day, I don't know why they didn't do it anymore, but you could play like little video games, especially Tetris.
Yeah.
Oh man, you should have seen like tiny, like 10-year-old, 8-year-old me just glued, just playing Tetris for like an hour straight.
That's amazing.
And I would like knock down all of the other high scores on that plane. But yeah, that's what I usually do.
So are you now on flights like playing video games like on your phone? Or?
Well, actually nowadays I just sleep. But
okay.
When it comes to like a really, really long ones, of course, like when I visit family in the Philippines, those ones, like you can only entertain yourself for so long.
Yeah.
So what I actually like doing is I like looking around to see if I can watch other people's screens if they have captions on and try to read it with them.
Right.
So I don't really have to commit to watching one. I can just like switch between
Bounce
them.
Around.
But yeah, so
that's cool.
Okay, so on to number 3. What movie would you watch on a day you're feeling down?
A day I'm feeling
like, do you have a
down.
comfort movie? I guess is another way to word that question.
Yeah, that's a good question. I really like this movie called Almost Famous. It's written and directed by Cameron Crowe, who also wrote, is like probably like more known for Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
But Almost Famous it's like a coming of age story of a teenage boy who is traveling in a tour bus with like an up and coming rock and roll band in the 1970s.
Ooh, okay.
And so it's like, it's got drama, it's got comedy, it's, like sweet, but also like the opposite of sweet, whatever the opposite of sweet could be. And yeah, I just really love that story. I can like bounce. The great thing about that movie for me is I can bounce in and out of it no matter what. And it really highlights like a lot of things that I love, which is like music and like that rock and roll lifestyle, especially like that era of like rock and roll that doesn't really exist anymore. And yeah, and there's like great performances in it and everything. And it's really like, it's also like very funny. It's not a comedy, but there's like very funny moments.
It's like well written.
Very well written. Yeah.
I might check that one out. That one sounds really cool. Short Between Bells break. This is a very short Between Bells break, but I was able to find out where you can watch this movie because I did really think it sounded cool. So it's available on Amazon Prime, Fubo TV, and Paramount Plus. You can also rent or purchase it on Amazon Instant Video, iTunes, Google Play, and Vudu. You should go watch it. I'm going to go watch it. Anyway, now back to the show. Okay, so number 4, I like this one a lot. What's your go-to movie on Halloween night?
I love Scream.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and so I think for Halloween, there's nothing better.
Which one's your favorite Scream?
Well, I love the original Scream. I have not seen this latest one yet.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing that at some point. In fact, my former college roommate who lives in Australia, just texted me like an hour ago. The text. Hold on. I really want to like prove it to you. Hold on. My phone's on my desk. Anyway, the text says, "Have you seen the new Scream yet?" So him and I were big like Scream for like heads in like college or whatever. So yeah, love Scream. Again, very funny. That movie's like hilarious.
It is.
It's also very violent.
Yeah.
I don't tend to like violent movies, but that film is like really funny. So
yeah, I like the original a lot.
Developing like a trend of like I like funny movies. I think.
Yeah. I watched the original. I watched a couple of the other ones, but I actually only watched half of the newest one because I was like at a friend's house and then their sibling had it on, and so I like stopped and watched a little bit. It wasn't that bad. I mean, I feel like if I was watching it from the beginning, it was like midway through. I feel like it would have made more sense, but it's definitely on my list to definitely watch. Short Between Bells break. If you're like Mr. Bruckner and I and are interested in seeing the new Scream 6 movie that was released early this year on March 10th, but you haven't seen the other ones, there are actually multiple ways you can go around catching up. There are actually a few widely accepted Scream timelines you can watch the movies in order of. So there's the original Saga series, which is of course just Scream 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in order. Then there's the original trilogy, which again is just 1, 2, and 3 in order. But then there's the Woodsboro trilogy, which is Scream 1, 4, and 5. But then there's the Loomis trilogy, which is Scream 1, Scream 2, and Scream 5. If you're wondering where those names come from, you'll just have to watch them. Some of those names come from elements within the franchise, but I don't want to spoil it. Now back to the show.
Because usually when going through the school year, like movies come out or video games come out, but I'm like too busy during the school year, so I leave that all to summer. Like I tell you that like first like maybe first half of or first month of summer, I'm just cooped up in my room catching up on all the stuff I've been wanting to watch.
I'm like you in that way, where maybe not cooped up in the room, but like on like any given day, like I might be like binging, 4 to 6 episodes of something.
Yeah.
In between like, mowing the lawn or something, Yeah.
Yeah. And so now for the last one.
Cool.
So we're going from Halloween, we're going to another holiday. So what is your go-to Christmas movie?
Oh, that's a great question. I really love, and I actually played this film in our film studies class. It's a Wonderful Life is probably my favorite Christmas movie. It really highlights the value of life, and again, just kind of shows the importance that one person can have, the importance of one person's impact on the people that they interact with in the span of their life.
Yeah.
So that movie does an excellent job with it. Every time I watch it, I cry at the end. And I love that movie. The message of that movie is like just really special, and is a message that I think I think everyone needs to know how valued their life is, but I think especially our teenagers today who are in like a comparison culture of constantly wondering if I'm good enough, or if I'm getting the likes or whatever on social media, just to know like they are good enough, they have value, and they have a tremendous impact on the people in their lives.
That's a great answer. What a wonderful way to end out the segment for this week's episode.
Short between bells break. Did you know that It's a Wonderful Life all began with a Christmas card? Arguably called a card, but we'll get to that. According to MentalFloss.com, after years of unsuccessfully trying to shop his short story, The Greatest Gift, to publishers, Philip Van Doornstern decided to give the gift of words to his closest friends for the holidays when he printed up 200 copies of the story and sent them out as a 21-page Christmas card. David Hempstead, a producer at RKO Pictures, ended up getting a hold of it and purchased the movie rights for $10,000. I've never seen what is called a card be 21 pages, but hey, at least we got an amazing movie out of it, right? Now back to the show.
All right, so back to the conversation. Evidently, through that segment, you're very well versed in film, of course. No wonder you're teaching it, but you're very much exude creativity because you're at the head of so many things creative-wise here at Camden Catholic. So I just wanted to talk about like some of the things you do out of school that I know of that you do when it relates to the arts. So first you have your own podcast.
Yes, my wife and I host a podcast called Baja Brux. Yeah.
And you mentioned this on when we were on Talking Catholic, Shaz Talking Catholic, but also when we first started the podcast, that's how you knew how to start me off on this, right?
Yeah, because it was about a year ago where I was kind of figuring out all this stuff too, and we're 29 episodes in, and like still trying to find like our voice and get become our so the rule of 10,000 hours. I think Malcolm Gladwell wrote about it. Yeah. Anyway, just like we're 29 episodes in, that's about 29 hours. So we have about 9,000. I'm doing quick math. 9,000.
It's fine. I can't do math fast.
971 episodes to go before we're expert podcasters.
I'm not good. I can't tell you. I can't tell you you're wrong on that number. I can't do math that fast. So I'm going to take your word on it. And then what else do I have here? Yes, and you've mentioned that you do professional recordings. I don't know whether you've elaborated on whether like you do this as like a full-time, part-time job. I don't know what I meant. I don't know if that phrasing's right, but you like help with recording people's weddings and you edit the videos, or is that like, do you just record events in general?
Yeah, so I've had the good fortune of, a buddy of mine, maybe 15 years ago now, started a production company where it kind of started with weddings, and then it moved into some commercial work, and he's gone on to be like very successful. He brought me in as like a second shooter when he was first starting, and now like I've been lead shooting weddings for over 10 years, and I have my own company. And but it's just like kind of like the side hustle. It's like an official side hustle.
Yeah, I don't really know how to categorize it. Yeah.
And every once in a while he'll call me up if he needs like a hand with a commercial shoot. But for the most part these days it's maybe like 10 weddings a year.
Okay. Yeah. And the third thing I have that I would like to bring up on the podcast is, well, first, let's introduce it by saying you were part of the Irish invasion for Irish Giving Day earlier this year.
Yeah.
Such an iconic moment.
Iconic.
My jaw dropped to the floor. I was so shocked. It was a great performance. You could probably find videos out there, like a bunch of people were recording it because we went crazy about it. But something I was saying to my friends afterward is like, guys, did you know that Mr. Bruckner's in an actual band?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you mind talking about that?
Yeah, I play in a cover band with my buddies now. We're called, actually, this is how amateur we are. Like we're called like Bunch of Amateurs, but like whenever we play, who knows like what appears like on the promo. Like the last time we played a show, it just said like the Amateurs, and I was like, oh, all right, I guess we're not a bunch of, we're just the amateurs.
It's different every time.
But yeah, I've been in bands like ever since high school.
Really?
So yeah, like mostly original bands, like writing and recording our own music. And now as I get older, I just kind of just want to play like fun songs that people know, because when you play your own stuff, people don't know it.
Yeah,
so it's not quite the same. I did it out in LA. I did it in Philly for years. So yeah, now we're just like a cover band, which is fun.
I also wanted to mention, because there was one time at CCTV, you were like, guys, if you want to hear a good song, you should search up Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Would you mind telling, because you recommended us that certain song.
Yeah, so on wherever you stream your podcasts, but also wherever you get your music, Jeff Bruckner, there's original music out there.
Yeah,
I once had a song on a TV show called Scrubs that was like, it has like a decent amount of streams. It's called Envy of All Our Friends. And then the last like original band I was in, we called ourselves The Electives.
Yeah.
And so I really like the song Twin Peaks. We made an EP a couple years ago. And yeah, if you just look for The Electives and enjoy listening. If you like it, awesome.
Out of this episode, I feel like our listeners are getting a lot of great recommendations from you, but recommendation from me, Twin Peaks is a very good song. It's on my playlist. I do listen to it like frequently. It's a good one.
Really proud of that in terms of like the creative process. When I originally wrote that song as a folk song.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and if you listen to it, it's the opposite of a folk song. It's
like
this like kind of spacey rock with like a bass groove, and which was like very much inspired by like some Radiohead. And so anyway, like the thing I love most about music is collaboration. And so like taking an idea, I always like try to pretend I'm sorry, rewind. I don't like to pretend. I like to like assume and like fully submit that I'm never like the smartest person in the room. So like when I'm in a room with like all of my musician friends, like it's like, hey, here's this idea, and then like let them roll with it. And then that idea is always way better than I ever could have imagined if I just like trust what they can do with it. So that's a great example with that song in particular, where I was like, this is just some, basic folk song. And then, take it to a producer and a band, and next thing you know, it sounds like nothing like how I wrote it. So it was awesome.
It's a good one. And then like your process you just described, I feel like here at Camden Catholic, I feel like that really shows through. And so I had another thing I wanted to mention, how you said this is your 16th year here at Camden Catholic. Yeah. When we were on Talking Catholic, you mentioned that as well. You were there to teach some of, I would say like a couple big names currently at Camden Catholic. I think you Mr. Hoover was on CCTV while you were there.
Yeah.
Mr. Gardner, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you were there when Mr. Poole and Mr. Kettleberger were here. Were you?
Yes.
For them?
Yep.
So I think I would like to end this episode off by asking you, with all of your creative endeavors out of school and might I say your talents, your many talents, what keeps you staying here at Camden Catholic, and like why do you still choose to share this with the students here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good question. I was actually talking to Father Robbins about this the other day in terms of like life story. And if I go into that, we'll probably go over time.
Yeah.
But like one of the things that it's not that I haven't had the chance to go out and do these things at a different level or that I was ever afraid to do it. It was almost like I didn't find satisfaction in doing it in like a professional way. Like when I was out in LA, doing TV writing development, working as an assistant, I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
But I always just thought like, well, anyone can really do this, and it doesn't need to be me.
Yeah.
And then I started to think like, how do I want to like impact people or impact society? And I think first off, you can impact society in like a number of different ways, even as like a TV executive, by just like choosing the shows that you choose.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like one of the things that I wanted to do and prioritize was teaching. And I think I had like a little bit of a knack for it early on. And then I was just like, if I can just get better at this and help students realize their own voice and create how they want to create and not to fit like a mold. I think one of the things I struggled with when I was a student is that it was just a different time in education where I felt like you had to fit some sort of a mold and deliver something to a teacher that fit this like total like structured vision that they had.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't necessarily the vision that maybe I had. And so one of the things I just try to focus on like while teaching is, like present some structure, but really like kind of like let students roll with it
Mm-hmm.
and like guide as needed and kind of let their creativity go where it goes and, and challenge, and encourage and rein them in a little bit sometimes. But I just think that there's something to that. So I've always just found teaching to be really fulfilling.
Mm.
It's always a challenge. Truly, it is always a challenge. But which keeps it like, exciting. I'm never bored. And even though like, every day the school, your school bells, beginning bell and end bell, it's the same time every day. Every day is different. And I just, I've said people to whoever asks, like, I'll teach as long as I'm having fun. And
Mm-hmm.
I love what I do. I'm having a blast. And so, yeah, I love it.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. So finally, thank you so much for joining
Thanks
me
for having
on
me,
this
Trish.
episode. No problem. And I mean, I have to say it. Big thanks for helping me out with this podcast.
Sure. Well, you're doing a great job with it.
Thank you so much. All right.
If you found something in common with him or just want to say hi, Jeff Bruckner is located in room 216 in Senior Hall. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Between Bells and that we might catch you next time. But for now, this has been your host, Trish Escarilia, and from wherever you're listening in, I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, or night. Bye!